Hello everybody, welcome back. James and Andy here, Zyborgian channel, here to talk about what honestly has been one of both of our most anticipated albums for the beginning part of this year, and that is Within the Ruins, Elite. Hence me looking down at the title. Yeah, so we're gonna do a little something called a track by track review first of all, where we talk about each of the tracks on the album, and then after that we talk about the album in general. And if this video seems long as fuck to you, just click that annotation right there. Okay? Okay, let's get started. First song. And this album is very much structured in, I'm going to go ahead and say, in the same vein as the way the previous album by this band, Invade, was, in that it starts out with a 1 minute intro track, and then it goes into a bunch of songs, 2 of which are instrumentals. Now, this first instrumental intro track is called Terminal, and unlike the last album, which had Designing Oblivion, which honestly sounded kind of like ambient noise and kind of...
An alien might appreciate it.
Yeah, it's like... Well, people can appreciate it too, because a lot of people are into noise music.
But not on the same level as aliens. Because aliens have weird ears.
Aliens! Anyway. But aliens. This has actual, like, notes in it. And it's, like, kind of like a melodic breakdown that just basically is Within the Ruins saying, hey, you thought we were heavy as fuck before? Guess what, bitch? We just got twice as heavy. Because they really did on this album. The production and just the sound is even heavier than Invade, and Invade is a massive album. And then the next song starts, what really kick-starts the album, the song Solace. And this song is groovy as fuck. And a bit genty, in my personal opinion. I'll get to this band's genre later. I know people are going to bitch about that, possibly, whatever. But it's a really good kickstart to the album. It punches you in the fucking teeth, but it's not quite as good an album opener as Versus was on Invade, because that just has so many standout moments. The whole track has a standout moment. It's just a great song. But one of the riffs in here, one of the riffs towards the beginning, for any of you who've seen my Bullet for My Valentine review, remember the song Riot? That's not how you write a riff. Well, Within the Ruins sort of have, like, going back to one note, like, but it's, like, amidst these crazy grooves and, like, a thrash metal drum beat. So that's how you do that kind of shit. Like, you mix it up a bit, instead of just making it extremely stagnant and boring with slow, boring Lars Ulrich drums. But anyway, then the next song comes up, and that's Feeding Frenzy, which was released as a single before the album came out, so naturally it's the most catchy song on the album, with just a lot of great moments, but it's honestly one of the weakest songs on the record. That's how good this album is. This song is fucking fantastic, and it winds up being one of the weakest on the record, but it has a great progression to it with a lot of great memorable sections, and it gets really brutal in the part where he's like, but still they freed, towards the end of the song, and then it goes back into the main riff. Next song, New Holy War. This song sort of starts out with this really bouncy kind of happy sort of thing. But it develops into a badass fucking riff that forms the main theme of, like, the song, basically. It has a bit of that same kind of deal where you've got in the main riff, it actually is a combination of that bouncy, happy thing with the just one note chugging. But it's done well because there's variety and stuff in it. And it just grooves really well along with the drums. And there's a section in the middle that they do something that's not very prominent on Invade. It sounds like they're changing time signatures a little bit, which is something they explored more on this album. A lot of Invade, if you listen to it, it grooves like a motherfucker, but it stays in 4/4 time a lot of the times. But they try and experiment that with their sound here, because they just continue to expand on this already great, powerful, and unique sound they have among the modern metal genres, and it's really great. Good song. Very good song. And then the next song is even better. It's a song called The Charm. This is probably one of my favorite tracks, personally, with vocals on it. It's the most Invade-like, I feel like, on the album when you get to this point. And it has a lot of what Within the Ruins like to do with the lead guitar. Like, they have lead guitar melodies that, like, groove along with the grooves, like... That's, like, a bit of the title track of Invade from the last album. They like to do that kind of stuff. Thankfully, that style is still present here. I was scared it wouldn't be, but it's one of the things that makes their sound unique and fucking awesome. And this song also has a brief but very sexy sounding solo to it. Overall, this song is just fucking fantastic. Then you get to the fucking best song.
Yes.
Which is called
Ataxia 2.
And it's a sequel song. Mostly songs that are sequels, you know. This is not like Tears Don't Fall Part 2. This is actually better than the original, we both think. Like, it's just... I'd even go as far as to say this is their best song since, like, besides Roads, this is their best song. Honestly.
I'm going to go ahead and say that as well.
It's just so progressively structured. And by the way, we're orgasming over this song. This is, like, the best song on the album. And it's an instrumental, like Ataxia 1 from Invade was. But just the way that it progresses and goes through... The first minute goes through a shit ton of musical ideas, but after hearing the song just twice, you remember all of them, and it sounds like sex. But the best parts, for me, even though the whole song is near perfect, are like the main theme that pops up at multiple points throughout the song, and there's a part at 2 minutes and 10 seconds that lasts about 20 seconds. Oh my god! The chord progressions and the melody in that is insanely epic. And then it transitions perfectly, flawlessly back into the main theme. And all the other themes that come up in this song, they never crop up exactly the same way if you hear them again, besides the main theme, which is geniusly structured. Oh my god, this is a fantastic track. If you're going to check out one track from this album, this should be the one, even though it has no vocals. Next song is the title track, very much how, like, Ataxia led into Invade on the previous album. At least I think it did, right? Didn't it?
I can't remember.
I'm pretty sure Ataxia led into Invade.
I'm pretty sure Invade was the 5th track, and Ataxia was the 6th.
Oh, really?
I think.
They were right next to each other, I know that much.
Yeah.
But anyway, Ataxia 2 leads into the title track, which is Elite. And the intro I didn't really like as much because it seemed, like, simple in comparison to all the other things they were doing on this album, but it really grew on me. I'm just, like, addicted to the fucking opening groove, like it's and this is another very, very Invade-like track, but at the same time, it combines elements from what they're doing on this album. There's more technicality, even harder grooves, sometimes going into different time signatures and stuff like that. It's great, and the breakdown at a little over 2 minutes in this song is fucking sick. Not as good as the fucking psychotic breakdown at the end of Invade, which might just be their best fucking breakdown for me, honestly.
Yeah.
That's like the song that got me into them. But again, as a title track, this doesn't hold up to the one from the last album, but that's okay, and I'll get into that later. Also, the lyrics, though. They sound a little elitist.
They kind of reminded us of the... of Invade and how it was...
Like, it was kind of douchey in a way, but it was portrayed. But this is douchey in a different way. Like, it's like, oh, we're within the ruins. We are elite. All the rest is obsolete. We're better than all other bands. Maybe that's not what they mean by that, but it's what they're indicating. Yeah, it's probably not, but it sounds like it.
Yeah.
In any case, next song, I Blaspheme. First riff in that song. Holy shit. Oh my god, is it a riff. Besides all of the godliness that is Ataxia 2, that it's probably my favorite riff on the album, besides everything that's in Ataxia 2. Overall, as a song, it's not structured quite as strongly as some of the other ones, but it's still great. I love this really grooving riff with this kind of repeated, like, guitar effect that's droning over it, over this really bouncy, grooving riff at towards the beginning and end of the song. That part's great. Then you get into Absolute Hell.
No, Absolute L.
Yeah, Absolute L. The chorus in this song Like, the way the words are flowing along to the groove, it makes him sound like he's going, absolute. It's like, it sounds dorky almost.
Sounds like a wizard's name.
Absolutel.
It's the
The
great
master!
Absolutel.
It's the great Absolutel, the master of the supreme eternal darkness. I have no idea what the fuck. But other than that, this song has another great fucking frantic intro with this awesome tapping part. And after both the choruses on this song with the Absolute L, there's this really like deathcore mixed with Gojira kind of riff going on that really stood out for me and that I really liked. Then after that, though, after that really good song, is an even better song, and probably my favorite song on the album that has vocals over it. It's called Weightless. And one thing I want to say about this song, we only really talked about the lyrics of one other song, but overall the lyrics on this album, from what I can hear of them, I don't exactly have the lyrics booklet because I won't be able to buy this album for a while, but I'm still going to get it because I fucking love it, in case you couldn't already tell. But the lyrics on this song just sound really unlike Temper Temper from Bullet for My Valentine. They sound really sincere and from the heart in the parts where you can tell what he's saying, which is fantastic. And musically, this song really combines all the best things from all the other songs that aren't a Taxi 2, of course, because that's like on a whole nother level from all the other songs on here. But it's ridiculously frantic as fuck. It's ridiculously groovy and rhythmic and ridiculously heavy and shit ton of good riffs, and it's got its fair share of those like lead grooves too. It's just fucking fantastic. And then the last song on this album,
Dreamland.
Now, we gotta go ahead and say this band's best song, and what probably always will be their best and most perfect song, is the last song off the previous album, which is an instrumental like this song, Dreamland, is, but that song is called Roads.
Yeah.
And they realized that
they're not going to top it.
They're not going to top Roads. So
No.
basically what they kind of did was they just wrote this 5-minute sort of melodic breakdown kind of thing that has like audio clips of someone talking over it, but it's mixed really low.
And you can't hear them.
You can't you can't make out the words. What was that part that you caught that I didn't catch? He's like says something.
We all have much to be thankful for.
We all have much to be thankful for, or something like that. But overall, compared to all the other songs, all these songs really get you going for the most part. But this song, even though it changes up, it still feels a little stagnant. And this is probably the weakest of all the tracks, not counting the less than a minute long intro. But yeah, fucking wow. Album as a whole time. This album manages to do what I hoped it would for Within the Ruins, but at the same time it doesn't. What I've noticed with it Within the Ruins is I've honestly only listened to Invade, the Omen EP, and this, and what I noticed when the Omen EP came out and when I got around to hearing it was that, based on the 2 tracks that were on that, they were already, like, improving on their sound. Like, the 2 songs that are on it, Controller and Infamy, are both better than most of the songs off Invade. And Invade is it's in my top 5 albums of 2010. That's how much I love that record. I'm going to go and say right now, this record is on par with Invade, at least for me. It's like, isn't it like almost on par for you?
Well, I have to say, Invade, it gets a few more points because of Roads.
Because, Roads is just such a masterpiece. But like, for me, though... Oh, wait, go ahead.
Well, and also just overall, I think the songs were a lot... I guess... I don't know how to put it, really.
Better overall? Just, like, better structured? Or...
Yeah, that's...
I actually feel that way about this album, though, dude. Because, like, most of the songs that, like, aren't the super standout tracks that most of the songs on this album, besides Ataxia 2, like, Ataxia 2 is the only song on this album that topped these following songs from the past album. Versus, Invade, Ataxia 1, Feast or Famine, and Roads. Those 5 songs are just ridiculously good. But the rest of the songs on that album are really good, But for the most part, the majority of the songs on this album are even better than those, because what they've done with this album is they've expanded on their sound, as I've said before. They've gotten more heavy. Their guitar tone is heavier and it's mixed louder, and the grooves and riffs are even more technical and sound even harder to play. Because I've watched someone play Rhodes. The fucking parts in that look difficult as hell. And this sounds even more complicated than a lot of that stuff. So it's like, kudos to their guitarists, because they are doing just some great stuff here.
For the one that they still have.
Yeah, one of their lead guitarists from the previous album actually left before this album came out. But I was scared that was going to possibly make their sound a little different, maybe a little more towards, the generic side of deathcore, but it didn't. It still sounds fantastic, brutal, heavy, and even the breakdowns are like, compared to like other bands doing this in the whole core genre thing, they stand out. They're even heavier and more powerful. Speaking of, let's go ahead and get into this band's genre. If we had to give a word to it,
yeah, you're going to pronounce this, okay?
It's technical genty metalcore, deathcore stuff. Yeah, because I think it's stupid when I see people arguing about this band's genre on the internet. People are all like, it sounds a little genty. No! Within the Ruins aren't gent at all, faggot! Well, you just listen to how bouncy the rhythms are, and they have the gent tone, as far as I'm concerned. They have the gent guitar tone. But that isn't necessarily what makes them gent-ish. They have, like, the vocal stylings and, like, just some of the riff styles of metalcore with the riff stylings of, and the breakdowns, especially, of deathcore and progressive deathcore, but just the bounciness of, a lot of gent bands. So that's why I think they really take all of these modern styles of metal, put them in a blender, and combine it and just come out with their own original and really good sound. I feel like these guys are totally one of the pinnacle bands of modern metal, and they've really, really proved it on this record. I think we should go ahead and stop this. We both honestly would give this a 9 out of 10, wouldn't you think?
Yeah.
Very strong 9 out of 10. It's totally on par with Invade, which is another amazing album. And that's all. Bye, guys.
Giggity.
Giggity.